Modern Geelong was born in the mid-1830s with the arrival from Tasmania of the first white settlers, hungry for new pastures to graze their sheep. Those squatters cared little that this was Wadawurrung country, whose people had lived for thousands of years around the bay they called Geelong. By the early 1840s, the shanty town of Geelong, perched overlooking Corio Bay, had become the head station and principal port for a vast wool-growing industry stretching out across the Western District. By now, Geelong had surveyed streets and land sales, a regular mail and passenger steamer to Melbourne, its own newspaper, the Geelong Advertiser, whose editor, James Harrison, invented refrigeration, and by 1849, Geelong's first council, which established the town's fabulous botanic gardens and Eastern Park. The gold rush of 1851 flooded Geelong with shiploads of gold seekers bound for Ballarat. But Geelong's wealth lay not in gold, but in wool, hauled to the waterfront and shipped home to England. By the late 1850s, Geelong paraded its pastoral wealth in splendid buildings adorning the town's wide streets. The town boasted a new rail link to Melbourne, then another to Ballarat. Locals celebrated the arrival of reticulated water and coal gas to light their streets and homes. They even cheered on their football team, which would become the Mighty Cats. Local merchants built imposing wool stores along the waterfront, led by Denny's, Lascelles and Dalgety. Along the Barwon sprang up wool spinning and weaving mills, as well as tanneries, wool scourers, cement works and paper mills. While out on the Ballerine, mills crushed local grain into flour to help feed the region's growing population. Schools and churches now dotted the landscape, together with stately townhouses and ornate villas, as the growing suburbs crept out from central Geelong. The early 1900s brought further advances: electricity to power a stable of trams that would snake across Geelong, horseless buses and early cars, an automatic telephone exchange, the first in the Southern Hemisphere, and by 1939, the glorious Art Deco Eastern Beach. The hardship of two world wars failed to break Geelong's spirit, and the city shifted its economic reliance from wool to motor cars with the arrival of Ford in 1925. Other industries soon followed around Corio Bay and the busy port of Geelong: International Harvester and Pilkington Glass, the fertiliser and phosphate works at North Shore, the giant North Geelong grain silos, the Shell Australia refinery at Corio in the early 1950s, and in the early 1960s, Alcoa's smelter at Point Henry. These new industries brought wealth and multiculturalism, employing thousands of locals and post-war migrants, who swelled Geelong's new northern and eastern suburbs. Geelong has continued to transform to the present day, forced by the decline of Australia's car industry, bringing a new focus on education, health services, administration, specialist manufacturing, and the new knowledge economy. The former wool stores now house the world-renowned Deakin University, while the old foreshore has been reborn as the magnificent Geelong waterfront. Geelong's skyline is also dramatically changing, led by the distinctive dome of the new Library and Heritage Centre, while work is underway to transform and activate central Geelong into a more vibrant, people-friendly space. Further afield, there's record population growth at Armstrong Creek, Warralilly and parts of the Ballerine. Geelong has certainly come a long way since 1835, and the next exciting stage of our future is now in our hands.